Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the High Ticket Coaching and Consultant Strategy and Growth Show. Now, if you're watching this interview anywhere else but within our private Facebook community called High Ticket Client Attraction Insider Circle, definitely come check us out. And that community was put together specifically for coaches, consultants, and service providers who are serious about getting up to that 6 and that 7-figure level. So if that's you, definitely come check us out. Now, today I want to introduce you to another one of the members of our community, Carol Ann. Welcome, Carol Ann.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks.
Great having you.
Looking forward to the interview.
Yes, love it, love it. And I was just, right before the interview, we were joking about accents. I know you have an accent, right? So tell us, where originally you're from?
I'm originally from Barbados, but I live in Toronto, Canada. I've been here for many, many, many years. I came to go to university and ended up staying.
Yes, yes. And I'm from St. Lucia, so we're definitely neighbors, right?
Yes, yeah, practically neighbors.
Love it,
yes.
Love it. Okay, good. So tell me a bit about your business and tell myself and the community a bit about your business and what it is that you do.
Yeah, I am a relationship coach. I'm a certified conscious uncoupling relationship coach. And my job and my mission and my goal is to coach women to claim their own power in their relationships. Mm-hmm. In order to be able to communicate their needs clearly and effectively, learn to deal with conflicts, and then end up having the love they desire and deserve. Because I've always felt that when a woman has lost power in a relationship, and I'm not talking about trying to take over the power in the relationship. What I'm talking about is claiming your own power so that there's an equal balance of power in the relationship and not one person is in control. And I feel that when women have lost their power, that they're being emotionally abused. And the reason I know that is because I've been there. And it's taken me a while to really figure out what that term meant, because I didn't know. And most women don't know, because we know we're in relationships where there's bad behavior, where we're being treated badly, we're being ignored, we're being separated from our families and friends, we're being dismissed. Nothing we say is taken seriously. So we know that there's some power dynamic in the relationship that needs to be addressed. And it took me a while to figure out a name for that. And most people don't know the name for it because we're not programmed to look at what the signs are. As women, we are more programmed to be caregivers. We put everyone else first, and we put up with things that we don't really understand are things that we should not be putting up with. Mm-hmm. So that's my goal, is to really wake women up. And I've written a book about it called I Dare You, Conquer Fear and Free Yourself from Emotional Abuse, because we need to free ourselves, take our power back.
Awesome, love it, love it. So how did you get started? What's your backstory before you got into doing this type of work? What's your backstory?
Oh, I've got a long backstory. I started off life as a school teacher. After university, I taught school for a couple of years, and then I became a police officer in Ontario. I was an Ontario Provincial Police Officer, actually the first Black female officer in the Ontario Provincial Police. I did that for a few years, and then I went to work for the Ontario Human Rights Commission. And then I was married at the time, and I did what every good wife would do when the husband wanted to pack up and go someplace else, got a job across country, and I moved to British Columbia. The marriage died. I survived, and then I went off and lived in Japan for 2.5 years. Then I came back to Ontario, went back into teaching, and then went back into the government in discrimination and harassment. And I did that for the last 12 years. Mm-hmm. So it's like full circle. And in the midst of that, of course, there were relationships that I tolerated bad behavior and eventually realized that, no, I can't. There's something wrong here. Mm-hmm. And I eventually then started to go on the internet, talk to people to figure out what on earth is happening. Mm-hmm. What's this behavior about? And then look at myself deeply to say, there's something about you that's attracting these relationships because you're the common denominator. So that's when I started to do a lot of work on myself. And in doing that, it led to the book. I had no intentions of writing a book. I just started to write things down for me. And then I thought, maybe my experiences and the things that I have done to help me get out of the headspace I was in could help other people. And then I decided, well, maybe I should coach and I need some training to do that. So I went and got trained.
Yeah.
So that's how I ended up at this spot right now.
Yeah. And life is so fascinating, right? It's always that at first when we're going through something, we don't really believe that the advice we have, or maybe if it's something we've already worked through, we don't believe like what we've been through, someone else could benefit from it, and we just kind of view this for ourselves. But then when you actually go out to the marketplace and you start hearing stories of people being in the exact same situations that you're in, but the next thing is they're stuck. They just don't know what to do.
Right.
Itself, being someone who's already worked through it is just so powerful. And it's such like, I believe it's such a fulfilling feeling just to come through and help others basically overcome what you kind of already figured out, right?
Yeah. And I think when you talk about abuse, people automatically think of physical abuse because that's what our domestic violence. What people don't realize is that emotional abuse is a lot more insidious. Because the person is playing with your brain, they're playing with your mind, they're in your head, and nobody can see that. So it's hard then to explain to someone that what emotional abuse is, because first of all, you're not thinking of it in those terms. You just know you're being treated badly. And you're embarrassed, because the thing about it is, it's not just a certain level of society that emotional abuse happens, where it happens. It happens to people all across the economic spectrum. You can be the cleaner in a company, you can be the CEO of that same company, and both of you can be in the same situation. So we wear masks. We have a persona that we present to the world, we present to everyone outside. We're usually in jobs where we have a lot of power and control, but behind closed doors, it's a whole different ball game. Behind closed doors, we put the mask on where we're being controlled. And it's very difficult to put those two together because people don't see that. And lots of times they know your partner, and your partner is well liked in society. He's well liked by friends. Your family sometimes like him, and they don't believe you when you actually say, but this is what he does to me, because there are no scars, there are no visible scars. And I ended up leaving my last marriage because of that. And he actually took me to court. And the judge didn't listen to anything I had to say. I had no pictures to show that I had any bruises. So even in the justice system, they don't pay any attention to you. And here in Canada, there are rules that whoever makes the most will have to pay the other person. So I ended up having a court order that I had to pay him, I had to support him, in spite of all the bad behavior. I don't know what it's like in the States, but here that's what it is. It's the law. And it was originally set up for women who men just took off and left. But of course, he took advantage of it. So, and he had said to me, if you left me, I will take you to court for everything you got. And he took me to court. And the court, well, I would say believed him, but that's how the court is. They only believe in something they can see. So that's why I want women to understand that this is not something to be embarrassed about and ashamed about. This is something you need to pay attention to. You need to get help. Because if you're being emotionally abused, chances are that's not a relationship you can fix. You're in a relationship with a person who is in control of you, who is exerting power over you, and you need to get to a point where you can push back or get out, because there's no middle ground.
Mm-hmm.
That's my mission. Is I want women to wake up. That's the thing, to wake up.
So how does someone know? How would someone know when they're in that relationship where it's just that emotional abuse? What are the signs? How does that typically look?
Okay, some of the signs are you're always quarreling. You have everything that's wrong in the relationship, you get blamed for. Everything that happens, you're the one who are responsible. So he gets angry. There's also usually a lot of anger. Every time he's angry, you get blamed for his anger. So your partner will say something like, if you didn't do that, I would not be angry. Or if you had done that, I would not be angry. Not taking into consideration that his anger is his anger. It's not you. Another thing is you find that you gradually start getting isolated from your friends, from your family. So then the only person that is there is him. Another thing is you start finding yourself being afraid of being in the relationship. And I know that from experience, because there were days I did not want to come home from work. And it got to a point where he started throwing things at me, and everything was getting a little bit bigger. And I thought to myself, the next thing he throws at me will be something to injure me or kill me. I need to get out of this. But I think for a woman to actually leave an emotionally abusive relationship, something has to happen for you to decide, all of this other stuff that's been happening, I can't let happen anymore. Because it's easy to just let it happen, especially before the pandemic. Because people were going to work, you weren't 24/7 with your partner. And you might have had some cracks, you might have noticed things, but you could gloss it off, you can ignore it. But in the pandemic, where people are stuck, they're in homes together all the time, those cracks now have become chasms. And unless you do something about it, you could end up dead. Because we have noticed, and I'm in contact with Victim Services Toronto, so I know what's happening in Toronto, and I've read what's been happening around the world, and even the United Nations has talked about this, that the incidences of domestic abuse have skyrocketed because of lockdown and people sheltering in place. So I think right now this is even more important for women to take back their power and live the kind of life they want to live. Life is too short. And without paying attention to what's going on in your relationship, because whatever happens at home bleeds into everything else that you do, especially if you've got children. If you've got children, you really need to pay attention, because whatever you're modeling, those children are seeing. And you're just perpetuating the cycle, especially if he has grown up in an abusive relationship and so have you. So I think it's incumbent on the woman to get to a point where she realizes, I need to do something about this.
Mm-hmm. Okay, powerful stuff. So how do you help your clients then? What is your method for helping an individual in such a situation?
I let my clients, first of all, tell me what they want, because it's not a matter of me saying, you have to do this. explain to me what's happening, what's blocking you from doing the kinds of things and living the kind of life you want. When I get that out of them, then I will go through steps with them to work out how we can get you to that point. And that's part of my 6-month program, to work them through. But the whole point is for me to get the women to recognize, first of all, that there's an issue, and then I can help you figure out how, because each person's situation is a little different, so it will be geared to your specific situation, but the steps are the same. It doesn't really matter what your situation is, but at least I know what your specific situation is, to kind of fine tune it a bit to fit just you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I believe that's so powerful as well, to having individuals who do what you do. Because just think about someone who might be in that situation where, as you said, one of the things that happens is they get isolated, their friends, they don't have any friends anymore, and the person is the only person they really have, no one else to kind of talk to.
Yes.
Right?
And yeah, the other, one of the things too, I say to women is that you need to find someone to trust. You have to talk. You can't keep it inside. And it's finding someone that you trust, or like here in Canada, we have what we call victim services. Each town has the equivalent of victim services that you can call. And in the US, I believe there are hotlines that you can call. You have to talk to somebody, because at the end of the day, it's not a matter of saving your face. It's a matter of survival. Because I also firmly believe that situations of domestic violence just don't crop up overnight. Incidences of emotional abuse have been happening before it happens. So there's a progression, and you don't want it to progress to the point where you end up in a domestic situation where you're being beaten or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's not a good place to be. So my thing is to arrest it before it progresses to that point.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Mm-hmm. And with clients, how do you work with clients? Is it a virtual type of
yes.
a relationship?
Yes, it's usually on Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
And they can choose to turn the video on or off. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Zoom.
Okay, good. And what do you find now? Because again, I guess it's a pretty interesting dynamic, right? Because how does, from your perspective, do most individuals who are in that situation, do you believe that they don't get help? Do you believe that they keep trying to say, well, maybe I could fix this or something? What do you find?
I find that most people, we're programmed as women to not notice things. And I think we notice that something is wrong, but we don't do anything about it because we're so busy looking after everybody else. And what's happening to us is usually at the bottom of the pile. Especially now, what we call the sandwich generation, where many women are looking after elderly parents who are living a lot longer than before. They're looking after children. And who gets called if something happens? It's never the partner, it's never the husband. It's always the woman who gets called. So anything that you have going on in the relationship gets put to the bottom. So we are looking after everyone. We've squashed our dreams because we just don't have time. So any dreams that you had before that you might have talked about, and now what's happened to them? You don't have time to do anything because you are the chief cook and bottle washer. If you're contributing financially, you're making the bacon, and then you're bringing it home and you're cooking it. So there is really no time for you in trying to figure out what's going on in this relationship. You know all these things are happening, but it's easy to put it on the back burner. It's very easy to do that, because unless something cataclysmic happens to wake you up, until that happens, it's easy to drift. And the next thing you know, it's 10 years down the road, and the relationship is either not gone any better or it's gotten worse, which is sad for a lot of women.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, question becomes, if someone wanted to learn more about you, your services, and wants to be able to connect with you, what's the best way for them to be able to do so?
I have, they can connect with me through my calendar and set up a time to meet with me. My calendar is calendly.com/my Carol Ann. And they can set up a time on my calendar to talk with me, or they can go to my business page and they can send me a private message. My business page is facebook.com/CAM Freedom to Fly. And they can connect with me there as well.
Awesome, love it, love it. And those links, guys, so if you're watching this interview, guys, on the live or the replay, number one, leave us a comment below. Just let us know you're here. And the second thing is, all the links that Carol Ann just shared with us here today to connect with her, they will either be right above or below the video. So you can click and get connected right to her. Yes. Well, Caroline, hey, thank you so much for making the time to be here today. Do you have any final thoughts before we end?
Yes. I would really appeal to women to give some serious thought about the state of your relationship. If it's great, that's wonderful. But if it's not, give some thought to what you would like your relationship to look like and where you see yourself in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, and make a determination as to what you want to do. If you feel that you have no power in your relationship, now is the time to start giving it some thought to how you work on the power dynamics in your relationship. And if you need help with that, I'm here to help you.
Awesome, love it, love it. Well, again, hey, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for sharing this with the community. And again, guys, if you're watching, be sure to connect with Carol Ann, okay? Well, hey, thanks again. We'll talk soon. Enjoy.
Thank you very much.